Hey everyone, this is Isaac
And this is Jackie
from Nonessential Media, and you are listening to the Beach City CROWS podcast. This podcast is all about our favorite cartoons, mine being Steven Universe.
and mine being Haikyuu.
Just a warning, this episode will feature spoilers for Steven Universe through episode 40.
And spoilers for Haikyuu through episode 20.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 5th episode of Beach City CROWS. My name is Jackie and I'm watching Steven Universe.
And I'm Isaac, and I am watching Haikyuu.
And the way this podcast works is we have challenged each other to watch two of our favorite animations. One of my favorite animations being Haikyuu.
And one of mine being Steven Universe.
Hence, that's why we're watching each other's shows. And we are just taking little pockets of episodes here, and we're discussing the similarities, the differences. We're doing a little review. We're talking about what we like, we didn't like, anything we might have caught, anything that's inspiring, anything that's not inspiring, all the goodies that come with it. And so this episode, I'm going to talk about Steven Universe 33 through 40.
And I'm going to talk about Haikyuu episodes 17 through 20.
Perfect. You want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
You go first.
Okay, I'm going first again. We're going to start with Steven Universe.
Don't cry.
We're going to start with an episode that didn't make me cry, although I was moderately frustrated, episode 33. In this episode, Garnet comes back from a mission, and Steven decides to imagine how it went. The one thing I will say about this episode, super fun, video game inspired. Like, Garnet is in a video game.
Oh, yeah.
And so for me, as someone who grew up with especially Super Mario, because it was a Super Mario inspired feel in a way, and a little bit of inspiration too from maybe some of the old, like, really old Final Fantasies and really old RPGs. It felt like you were watching a 32-bit thing. The music even too was that, like, bit music instead of the traditional. I mean, Steven Universe, we've talked about this, has a video game feel. It's inspired by video games. There's Steven Universe, and every time they go to a different place, it's almost like when you go into a different room in an RPG, there's a new song. Yeah. And sometimes it has that bit feel to it, but this was true, like, bit feel. Was I supposed to get anything from this? Like, was this just a fun episode?
It was just a fun episode.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Hoppy?
Was Hoppy the frog or the rabbit? Because one was like, one was Hoppit and the other one was Hoppy, but
I haven't seen the
frog...
episode in so long, so when you sent it, I was assuming it was the frog.
The frog just looks like he's so pissed. And every other word that comes out of his mouth is like, he's like, I'm so hoppin' mad, and it's like, I get it. Like, this mood. But they're using the hopping instead of, like, obviously a curse word, so kind of get what you guys were doing there.
Yeah, that episode was fun.
It was fun. It was really fun, and again, I needed to step back, and there's not a whole lot to say other than I really, really liked the video game inspiration in it, and I think it shows, with the Steven Universe production team, that they can do so many different things with this story, that they can go and not have it feel like, it was fun though, like it didn't feel forced, the video game inspiration, and
it was almost like an homage to their love for video games.
Yeah, and I love that. I love it when people can do that and they make it fun, and they made it fun, for sure. There was a lot of different video game inspirations in that one. Episode 34 was Watermelon Steven.
I love Watermelon Steven.
So the big plot point from this is that Rose could make plants defend her. Steven has this same ability.
Which, going back to your least favorite episode, the moss.
Exactly. So it's come around, 20 episodes later, I think it is. But I just want to say that Watermelon Steven, cute, okay? Second of all, when they all got massacred, what?
Yeah, it's pretty dark.
And this show sometimes has, like, weird levels of darkness in it, and I'm like, man, this is, like, kind of fucked up. It's a little fucked up. I'm just saying. Yeah. I'm just saying it's fucked up. But I think it's, I think what they did with this one was they gave us that in knowledge about Steven's mom and Steven, while still having it wrapped in this, like, fun bubble. Like, there wasn't
dark,
a lot of...
depression.
There was no depression. It was dark, but it wasn't depressing. Like, these little Watermelon Steven guys that got blown into watermelon chunks.
You feel for the baby one.
Dude, the baby one sacrificed itself.
It was like...
It sacrificed itself for Steven. Like, what the hell, man? That was...
And they all piled on it.
Yeah, and then they freaking killed him. They went cannibals on him and just, like, destroyed him. That was... It was a very weird episode. I don't have anything else to say.
I have a watermelon Steven keychain. He's like my favorite, or they're like my favorite character.
So in terms of like aesthetically pleasing, yes. Like Onion is number one. I love Onion. I've said this before. Onion to me, like when I get that Steven Universe tattoo, it's gonna be Onion. It's gonna be Onion.
You know what's crazy? No, we'll talk about it later.
Okay. Then can we talk about episode 35?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait. One thing I want to say. There's a reason I love the Watermelon Stevens.
Well, tell me. I want to know. I no, really I do, because to me
there wasn't much in this one, right?
Oh, they come back.
Yeah.
Oh, well, don't spoil anything. See,
That's,
now
I'm just saying they do.
Okay, so this is relevant.
Oh no, I spoiled.
No, you didn't really spoil, but no, it's good to know because now I know.
It is very relevant. Twice.
Good. So, see, I need to know that because otherwise I wouldn't.
They are a reoccurring thing.
This is the first time ever that they've done something.
I know.
So I wasn't prepared. I just assumed it was a one-off thing.
It gets to the point where everyone's like, man, when are the Watermelon Stevens going to come back? Like, I miss those guys.
Okay, well, how much longer do I have to wait?
I think it's the middle or end of season 2.
Okay. I'm guessing they're going to defend Steven at some point.
You'll just have to watch.
Episode 35. This was the episode that got me. I was telling Isaac, I cried. I literally cried at the end of this episode. I'm not going to cry. I can talk about it without crying. So this episode was all about Steven's relationship with his mom. And it starts off with, he goes to the donut shop to get something to eat. He sees some lunch bags inside of a fridge. Sadie says, well, my mom makes them for me every day, even though I tell her I don't need her to. Yeah,
and she's very like, oh, whatever. My mom makes these, whatever.
Yeah, it's like she takes it for granted. Yeah. Like people that, like, I mean, we've all taken people for granted in our life, and she's taken her mom for granted. And Steven decides he gets one of these lunches, and he goes home, and he's kind of digging through it, and he says, I wonder what kind of lunch my mom would make. And you're like, oh, it hits you. You're like, that's right. I just got goosebumps. You're like, his mom's not there. He's never known his mom.
He physically can't see his mom.
Yeah,
he is his mom.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. Because she had to give up her physical form to make him, you know? And this is that moment where you're like, oh, you know, he has such a broken relationship with his dad, but at least he has a relationship with his dad. He can't with his mom. And it really hits you, and he's just a kid. But, of course, this is going to come full circle because it is good storytelling. They're not going to leave this hanging and just have him say that and have it not mean anything. But Lion gets a little clingy.
Oh, that's so funny.
And tries to smother him to death.
Yeah, suffocate him. He's like, get in my mane.
Literally suffocating him. And then Pearl apparently watches Steven sleep every night, which is
I was rewatching the episode last night because I knew you'd talk about it, and I was like, what the hell?
Dude, what is
Pearl,
that is super creepy.
She's like, hey, I just like to watch you sleep sometimes. And then she runs away, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. But this episode is really... they haven't really gone into detail, but Lion has some sort of connection with his mom, obviously, because Steven gets inside the main. Very interesting too. Like this, like we talk about world building and like
it's like a pocket dimension.
Yeah, it's like a little pocket universe, and which I wouldn't have expected. So you know, suddenly Lion's not just a lion anymore, and he gets into this pocket universe through Lion's mane, and he pokes his head up, and I just love the colors for this. I love the
atmosphere.
Yeah, it was very warm and comforting, and it's interesting because this is at nighttime, so it's a big contrast. This outside world is dark and cold, and then he goes inside Lion's mane, and it's warm and it's light and beautiful, and it's this like endless plain of pink mane. But then up on a hill, you see it's almost like someone's been living there. There's like a little spot, and he goes up there, and there's all different. There's a Mr. Universe washed T-shirt, and
I was watching it, and I didn't realize they foreshadow tons of stuff in. Pay attention.
No, I knew right away. I was like, but before this episode even started, not before. After the episode started, before Lion started suffocating Steven, something like I need to pay attention to this episode. Yeah. I need to, and then I'll have to go back and just like screenshot that and kind of see if I can't pick apart more, but I knew right away. I was like, it's his mom. Like this has to do with his mom. And there in the pile is a VHS tape, which how old school can you get? What the fuck, when was Steven born? VHS tape recorders haven't even been around the last 10 years.
Well, the show came out in like 2013. I want to say that episode probably came out 2013, 2014, I don't know. So, and he's like 12.
So probably early 2000s. It's like 2000 or earlier, so late 90s maybe. And it says, for Steven, And he jumps out of the main real quick, runs down to the donut shop where Sadie and Lars are about to come back, and he tells Sadie that he has this VHS tape, and so she lets him in, and they go back into the back of the donut shop, and Sadie's like a good friend to Steven.
Yeah, I think this shows that she wants him to kind of know more about his mom.
Yeah, she
just as much as he does.
Yeah, like obviously to her it meant something, which I think is awesome. This one thing about this show is the cool kids are cool kids. Like they really are. Like they care, and Sadie's no exception. So they watch the tape together, actually, and in this tape, this is the line that got me. So it's
oh no,
it's his mom recording. She's recording his dad, and his dad's like has messages for Steven, and his dad's Greg, and no one cares. But Rose says, hey, I'm not gonna be able to be there for you. Like it's just how it works. She turns the camera, you can see her, like it's her, it's his mom, and she says, she's talking about how part of her is going to be with him. And she says, when you love yourself, that's me loving you.
Oh, no.
I'm tearing up. That line is so powerful because...
It really is.
I think if you're someone that's lost somebody in your life, that's what you need to remind yourself of. So, I was crying the way I'm crying now. The same way that Steven and Sadie were tearing up, Lars busts in, ruins the scene. Because that's what he does, is he ruins everything, including Sadie's life.
Oh my god.
Then Sadie gets on the phone, and they ended the episode in such a great way. She calls her mom and says, I actually do want you to keep making lunches for me.
Oh, it's so good.
So it was such a great episode. I went through so many different emotions. It wasn't even, it's not a negative feeling. It's a positive feeling at the end. But it was just a great episode. The only thing that was lacking really was action. But other than that, like, solid episode, so good. The fact that the show got me is proof that it can do this.
And I think it shows you that it doesn't need action to be a good show.
Yeah.
Like, it has different facets.
It understands even though they're gems, it understands the human element that comes with great storytelling.
The realisticness.
Exactly. Things that you can relate to, things that tug on your heartstring, things that make you think. If you have it, it's a good show. And this is proof that you can do that in a Saturday morning cartoon. And then the best part is that it didn't stop. Like, the show didn't slow down, because the next episode, Peridot appears.
Oh, yeah.
Which is obviously fucking huge. Like, I know she's gonna be... I know enough about Steven Universe from existing, because if you exist, you've heard about it. This isn't the end for her. She shows up, they're repairing the little warp pad things to Homeworld. And it's interesting because this is brought up, like... I was always kind of wondering, because we know that Homeworld exists now. And then you're kind of wondering, like, well, we know that these warp pads exist. Well, why aren't they fixing them? Why aren't the gems that are there fixing them? I don't know what's happened between the two. I always wondered
that. I was like, what the hell?
Like, what is going on? And then they start getting fixed by these little, like, robots that came from space. These little, like, fixing robots. And Peridot appears, and it's not a great... Like, they're not excited. They're scared.
They're like, oh my god.
They're like, this isn't good. And Steven doesn't seem to understand, because he's like us. Well, what do you mean it's not good? Like, they're working. Like, we can, this is awesome. There's another gem and all this stuff. And this is the reason why this episode is so big, is because it continues the foreshadowing. And you're starting to get the sense that something's building here. We're about to have a villain revealed that we don't really have. There's no real... Steven Universe doesn't have a villain yet. It doesn't exist.
Oh, you just wait.
I know it's going to be there, but right now, I mean, we're 36 episodes in, and there's no villain. There's no concrete villain, but it's hinting and hinting and hinting at something big. Some big villain exists. So, that was a big episode. I know Peridot's going to come back. But it was interesting because she, like, left, and they, like, destroyed the thing. So they, like, destroyed the warp pad. So it was, like, proof in a way.
Was that the communication hub?
Yeah, sure. I don't know what it's called. I don't know the lore as deep as you do.
Is it like a tower of, like, crystals, pillars, and stuff?
No.
Oh, never mind.
Wow, okay. Anyways.
Carry on.
My name's Isaac, and I'm going to spoil everything for you. I don't know if there was a whole lot more to say about that episode. Steven needs to listen. Yeah, I still don't like Steven. That's the main thing.
He just needs to mature.
It's really tough being an adult and watching a show where the main character's a kid. It can be really tough, and I just need to accept the fact that he's going to be dumb, because he's ignorant. He's a child. Episode 37, huge. Episode 37 is about fusion. So fusion, as we've discovered, is when gems fuse. You know, they got that rhythm, and
it's weird because fusion could be like two gems having sex, or it could be like a relationship. Like, I don't know. I still don't understand fusion.
Well, I definitely don't, because I didn't know that humans could fuse.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, Steven and Connie fell into it.
I think fusion is any form of relationship, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So I think...
So my thing is, is this Steven's gem just so powerful he can fuse with a fucking rock if he wanted to? Because he fused with a human being. He fused with Connie, guys. Okay, this is FYI. Go back and watch episode 37. This is when he fused with Connie and created created Stevani, the first intersex character ever, I think, in television history. Definitely in animation history. So, that's a big deal. You want to talk about diversity and inclusivity.
Stevani is also on a Dove campaign, the first ever animated cartoon crossover Dove campaign they've ever had.
Yeah, that was the social media one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a very powerful message for young people to have. And, like, how perfect is it that you bring in such a diverse character? Which everyone on the whole planet wanted to fuck Stevani.
That was weird to me. I was like, this is not...
Dude...
They are literally children. Like,
thank you. It's so awkward.
If anyone else out there listening, did you feel super uncomfortable watching that? Because I know when I first watched it and still watch it, I'm like, why?
It's very awkward. It's very awkward, yeah. And they get invited to some rave which, first of all, if you...
Kevin...
Well, number one, why, like, a child shouldn't be going to a rave, first of all.
A child.
Shouldn't be going to a rave in a abandoned warehouse, because that's where Molly is.
Yeah.
And acid. But Stevani shows up and isn't having a good time, and, you know, when
Stevani pops a few pills, let's be honest.
Kevin shows up, and they didn't like Kevin for some reason. Look, it was just it is a good episode. It's important because obviously Steven and Connie can fuse. That's huge. That's a big deal. Like, I never would have expected that going in. I never would have thought that a human and a gem could fuse. Or maybe maybe only Steven can fuse with other humans because he's half human. I don't know yet. But I think that opens up a whole door of possibilities. Like, maybe Steven and Greg fuse at some point. They do, don't they? They do. They do. I know they do.
No.
They fuse. Anyways, Kevin's a douche, and I give him credit because he was like, "Oh no, your kids, I'm out." Like,
oh yeah, he did say that.
Good job. He knows what he's not about that life.
Kevin is just as reoccurring as the Watermelon Steven, so look
forward
to it.
Are you serious?
I am.
Why? Is he a douche in every time? Well, not really douche, just a fuckboy. Is he a fuckboy in every one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, all right, well.
But I don't want to spoil anything, but there is an episode with him and Stevani, and it's, you know, that anime where they race, one of your favorites?
I watch a lot of Speed Racer?
No, it's where they're like going up a hill and they're like drifting.
Initial D.
Yeah,
yes.
Rebecca Sugar is a huge fan of Initial D, and it's
Initial
just an homage to that anime.
Oh, when is that episode?
Like season 3, 4. Yeah, it's a while.
Okay. The next two episodes. Okay. Do I have anything else to say about Stevani? That's the real question. No, I think that it's just a big plot point. The episode was super freaking weird because of the fact. Sitting there thinking about how this is Steven and Connie, and then they're like getting hit on by like Sadie and Lars. Both were like fucking ready. They were ready for the double team on that one. Then they go, the fucking sour cream shows up and is like, "Come to my rave."
Oh my god.
Like, you know, and then they go to this rave and Kevin's like, "Yo, you want to fucking bang?" And it's like, this is the most uncomfortable thing. Like, you are speaking to children.
Sour cream is the perfect representation of kids who drool. And have a SoundCloud. Is that not the truest thing you've heard?
This is the best comparison I've ever heard. You're not wrong.
One thing I do want to say, sorry for interrupting.
Please. You are allowed to discuss as well.
Stevani. So you talked about how he's able to fuse with humans. Because he is half human, I don't know if they really go into it, but because he's half human, he is able to fuse with humans. I don't think.
I guess I'm kind of disappointed that it's not clear.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the fact that that I know you're a fan of the show and you've seen it multiple times, and even you are like, I don't actually.
I'm
know.
sure they mention it, but I probably have forgotten.
Then there's something wrong somewhere if that's the case. I just feel like you should be able to
Wait, no, they don't need to answer it because I will shut up now because there's a lot. They don't answer it straight on, but of events that happen, it answers it for you.
Okay, episode 38.
That sigh.
Well, you have these episodes that again, I have to remind myself that I need to step back and not want the story to progress as quickly or to have everything has to be meaningful. In episode 38, Steven allegedly at some point failed a test that he had, and he didn't like the fact that he failed. He wanted to pass. So the gems decided, well, then we'll put you on through another training course. And it turns out that the training, he could have just done whatever he wanted. So he goes through, but the one thing that was cool about this was it was very RPG-ish again. And it was like each room had its own theme. Literally its own atmosphere, its own music, its own like final boss in a way, whether it was a rock or fire or whatever.
It's just not helping his character.
It's
it's just keeping him immature.
Thank you. That's a huge thing because he finds out.
He's pissed.
And he's not he's mad, but then he doesn't confront those feelings, and he doesn't confront them for allowing him to get away with this because that is a participation trophy. We talk about participation trophy culture all the time. You hear about it all the time in media. Parents talk to their kids about it. Kids talk to their parents about it. Here's a trophy for participating. This show is encouraging that in a way. Like Steven's getting a free pass because he's the main character. Something that I can tell you right now is vastly different between Steven Universe and Haikyuu, because nobody in Haikyuu is going to get a free pass.
Yeah.
Even the main characters, despite being the main characters, aren't guaranteed victory. But this show, what I got from episode 38, Steven will win. He will win, and there will be no consequences if he fails.
So you talked about how he didn't confront it. That's a big theme for him, and I think season 2 is keeping everything suppressed, and then there's a moment
where he breaks.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good, because what he did was he went to them, and he's really mad, but then he sees them, and he says, "Thank you for doing this for me," which. I mean, I get, like, he's saying thanks for putting in the effort. Thanks for making me feel good about myself. But making someone feel good, especially a 13-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, the reality is that feeling good about doing something isn't the same feeling that you get from being actually successful.
Right.
You have to face the trials and tribulations and overcome all the obstacles and succeed. And you will feel so much better than if it's just handed to you. And Steven will not, and that's how you grow as a person. You grow through failure. You grow through trying. You grow through problem solving. But if you can just walk through life, you're going to stay that immature 12, 13-year-old kid forever. And maybe that's, Steven Universe is a fantasy. Maybe that's the point.
I mean, that's the question that I had when I was watching it is, how long is he going to stay a kid?
Yeah. Because
is he ever going to grow up?
Because, I mean, I can tell that things are brewing and things are going to get real fast. At some point, something's going to happen and he's going to have to face the consequences, but he's never had to face consequences yet. And he has a dad who doesn't face consequences. And I think it's
everything around him is just telling him, stay here. Stay immature. Don't grow as a person, you know.
Yeah.
Which is sad because I get the gems. He used to be his mom. They respect him, but come on.
Yeah, like he's got to grow.
And the amount of enabling that goes on is insane.
It's so true. Enabling's a good way of putting it.
Even from Garnet. I'm like, Garnet, you know what's best for everyone. How are you going to enable him?
Yeah, no joke. No joke. Which Garnet is a big theme in episode 39. First of all, the first thing I noticed was the Sonic and Cloud action figures that...
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome. But this episode is about Garnet's future vision, which is the first time that it's mentioned. So now, is it real? Or does she just use, like, intelligence to deduce what's going to happen? Does she really have future vision?
She does, but it's not like this will happen. It's passages, like different alternatives.
Okay.
So she sees different realities.
Got it. Okay, that's because by the end of the episode, I was almost like, is she just like using common sense here? Because a lot of this stuff was like, if you're around this kid 24/7, you probably know he's an idiot, and he's gonna do something that's gonna get him in an idiot type situation.
Mm-hmm. I think part of it is that though.
Makes sense, and that I think that's good. It shows you how much that Garnet really pays attention to Steven. You know, she's really out there caring for him. So that's probably gonna come back. Future vision.
Yes.
Okay. And this, she took her glasses off and revealed her 3 eyes again. So this
she woke.
She woke. This just keeps coming back. So obviously there's something about those 3 eyes, and I think I know what it is, but I'm not gonna say anything. So the animations for Steven's fears were really cool. Like, it was like this super cartoony, and like every time, because she goes on this mission and tells him not to go on the roof, and kind of like freaks him out a little bit, and he starts getting paranoid about everything that's gonna happen. Like, he thinks he's gonna die at every turn. He sees worst case scenario, and it's really funny because like his little dude will die and it'll like turn into a skeleton. I don't know, the animation for it was really cool and quirky, and that was cool. Like, I love when shows step out and do something really, really creative. It keeps it fresh and interesting. That's what they did in 39. So I'll give them credit for that. Episode 40.
Hopefully it's good.
This was really big for Amethyst's character.
Oh yeah.
This is huge, period. She takes him to kindergarten.
Literally.
Literally. It's literally what it's called. And so this is interesting because at this point, my understanding of gems is that they come from space. They come from a different planet. They come from Homeworld. Well, she didn't.
She was incubated right there.
Right there. And now her character makes so much more sense to me. Because
doesn't it?
It really does, because before I kept going like, you know, Pearl and Garnet are so mature. And they have like a goal in everything that they do. And everything they do is thought out. And they take the way they look after Steven and the way they look after the team is different, but you can trust both of them. You can't really trust Amethyst.
Let's be honest, you can't.
She's crazy, she's chaotic, she's rebellious. But then you find out she has this trauma where she honestly believes that she is a mistake.
So sad.
That's
but
so
like,
sad. And she's holding the sand, and the way she's dealing with it is by, well, if I don't matter, then my actions don't matter. And the consequences of those actions don't matter because nobody cares. Nobody cares about me. And now all of the tension that exists between her and Pearl makes so much more sense. This episode was huge. And I loved when they get to kindergarten how the colors change. Like before,
mood.
Yeah, you know, her and Steven, they were out being the no home boys and riding around on this box car, and it was this bright colors and this great song, and everything was warm and inviting and adventurous, and it felt open and free. And then she takes him there, and it's dark and gloomy, and all the color palette changed from these warm colors to grays and purples and blues and blacks and browns and like these kind of like drab colors, these colors that invoke a sense of sadness and a sense of despair. Totally, completely different. Like, phenomenal job on that, on the color direction. Phenomenal. And Pearl shows up. She's scared. She finds them there, and Pearl and Amethyst get into a fight. Great fight. Such a good fight. I mean, the choreography for that was phenomenal. The music was good.
You're like, hold up, they fighting each other.
I know, for real. I was like, oh, damn, dude. Like, I literally was, like, sitting in my chair and got up and was like, oh, damn, dude, they are fighting. Like, this is something that obviously needed to happen. And for 1,000+ years, they needed to hash this out. And all of and Pearl is actually kind of hurt by this. Like, she's like, how could you think that I feel this way? Like, why? What have I done to make you feel this way? And I think it also gave insight into Pearl's character, because she doesn't realize sometimes when she says stuff, sometimes she's a little blunt in how she says stuff, and she means the best, but, you know, she even said something like, you're not the mistake, this place is. And then she realized, well, shoot, by saying that, she's
the mistake.
She's implying that anything that comes out of this place is also a mistake.
Yeah. And
I loved when she said, well, you know, she tells Amethyst, she's like, I just thought you knew that. You knew that I didn't think you were a mistake, that I thought you were the best thing that came out of this. And they have this great touching moment. And it was a great episode, phenomenal. I feel like there's always going to be tension between those two. but they hashed out a lot there, and that's big progression for both characters. Both
Character development.
Yeah, both how I see them and how they see each other and how they're going to be going forward. I think for Steven, also, like, this is his first time learning more and more. Like, he's really starting to learn more about the gems, and it's not as simple as he thought, and there is a darkness somewhere lurking with these gems, you know, and what's interesting,
definitely layers.
There's they go to this kindergarten place and there's these like drills or something like all over, and so you know, you're like, okay, like there's a reason why these 3 gems don't want the others to show up. Like, you can tell, like, the gems aren't perfect, they're not good, they're a society.
I can't wait till you get to the moment where you realize every gem on Homeworld that is made makes sense once you've seen all of what's happened to the Earth.
It's funny because you always bring up things with the gems, and you're like, well, with this gem, this. And I'm like, man, I feel like there's so much lore and so much, like, world building to these characters.
It all clicks together.
I can't
wait till you get to that moment.
I mean, I can't wait till I get to it, honestly. So at this point, like, that really, like I said, it's the first time we've really had solid character development, I think. Like, true, like, I felt that character development for these gems. In the same episode, discussing the world and hinting to the gem society that exists, that they're not the quote-unquote good guys necessarily, just like human beings aren't quote-unquote good guys.
Another theme, they're flawed.
Yeah,
that's like one of the main themes. Flawed.
Yeah, I like it. That's where I'm at with Steven Universe.
I love that you're finally
I'm seeing why people like it.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the depth that it can have. It's starting to. There's more and more episodes are mattering, which is huge for me, because if episodes don't matter, this is a huge thing. Like, we both love Avatar. Avatar has a lot of episodes that don't matter, and when they don't matter, I don't like the show. Season 3 started off with like 6 episodes that had nothing. Like, damn, dude, like, we gotta go defeat the Fire Lord. We don't have time for this bullcrap.
Yeah, like, you gotta learn how to firebend.
Yeah, and instead of taking the time, so.
The painted lady.
Yeah, so instead of taking the time to, like, develop that firebending skill, they just did a Deus Machina, and him and Zuko learned it in 5 seconds. And I'm glad Steven Universe isn't taking that same approach. Like, it is building, but I just have to get through the filler, for lack of a better term. I'm sure they hate that. I'm sure the production team hates to hear the word filler. But there's no other way to describe some of these episodes, because
if you think about it, it's... The only way it couldn't be filler is if you say, like, well, it's a new conversation between characters.
But does it advance the characters? Because if it's not advancing the characters or the plot...
No.
If it's not advancing one of those two things, then it's not important. And it's one thing to have a moment like that in an episode, but not have the whole episode be that moment. And the problem is that whole episodes are that moment. And it's unfortunate, because you can see the potential there with some of these other episodes, and that potential is getting bigger and bigger. And I know eventually we're going to get to a point where filler doesn't exist anymore. I just have to get to that point. More or less. Less filler.
Less. Way less.
Okay. We'll get there.
Okay. Time for haiku.
Yeah, that was a lot.
No, it was good. I'm doing episodes 17 through 20. So episode 17, where we last left off, episode 16... in the last episode, they were left at a cliffhanger. They had just started, for lack of a better word, the game with Date Tech, the Iron Wall. So this was like, oh my god, I have to watch this.
They've been building us for like 10 episodes.
Literally. So right off the bat, imagery. There's an iron wall. And you're like, what the heck? And then it pans to Asahi. And he's, like, so freaking nervous. And you're like, oh, man, he's going to fall under pressure. Like, he's not going to hit through the wall. And then, once again, small boy Nishinoya.
Dude, he's got their backs.
He literally...
He is the guardian deity of Karasuno.
He is the guardian.
Yep.
But they start playing, and for the most part, it's like, well, I don't really see what these guys' deal is. Like, they're not super good, because Karasuno's still able to make a few points. But then... This guy, I call him No Brows, number 7 on Date Tech, this big, tall guy, he blocks one of these attacks one of these hits that Hinata hits over the net. He, like, quickly moves his hand, almost like he's just as fast as Hinata. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, crap. Hinata, I feel like, was all they had, was that quick attack with Kageyama. Like, I don't know how that's going to go through. And I put, this is killing me. Like, the tension is so high right now.
Over a volleyball game.
And Aussie can't break through the wall. Like, he's just hitting it and can't do it. And I'm like, come on. Why is this show doing this to me? And then it's time for the quick attack. Yukai gets them all together. He's like, come on, we need to do this quick attack.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't done it yet. I mean, they have, but not anything like this. And then he does it. Goosebumps. Oh my god. One of the best scenes I've seen of Hinata and Kageyama together. And then they start chanting, number 10, number 10.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're like, number 10.
Yeah. Jackie was actually watching it alongside.
I was on Discord and I was like, as soon as you got to that part, number 10. Number 10.
So all of that together was just hype. Like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
And I put, this show is hands down the best at hyping people up.
It does. It's called Hype Q. I'm telling you.
Literally, Hype Q could be its second name.
Yep.
There's a point. Okay, so at this point, they're like, yeah, we're winning. But Date Tech still has a few points on them. They're not breaking the quote unquote system. I don't know what you'd call it. The gap.
Yeah.
And then they finally do this decoy move because Hinata is a decoy for Karasuno, right?
That's his goal, yeah.
Yeah. And he finally shows the potential of his decoy character.
Yeah.
So he goes up for a spike, and they don't set the ball yet. Kageyama doesn't set the ball yet. I'm like, what the hell's happening? So Date Tech puts up a wall. The iron wall goes up. But then it comes right back down, and Asahi comes up from behind Hinata and just spikes that ball.
Dude, the way they storyboard that scene, like, it's...
I teared up. Like, what? I don't cry at animation.
I think what they did such a good job with the way that they have him sort of swooping in from the back. And it was
like angelic.
It is, yeah. He's Jesus.
He literally is the man bun. Does he ever take his man bun out?
You'll have to see season 2.
Cool. And then I put the greatest decoy ... Hinata.
Yep, he did it.
This just solidifies my favorite characters will always be. I mean, I'm sure I'll have new characters, but my top 2, Hinata and Asahi, will always be my top 2.
I am so glad that you like Asahi.
It just solidified
because I did not appreciate. Even no matter how many times I went back and rewatched the show or read the manga or whatever I did with it, I didn't appreciate Asahi that much. I never did. There were moments like that moment. I was like, oh, Asahi's so cool. But then I forgot about him. And I don't know why. And then you were the one who pointed out when he first showed up. You're like, they are already digging into this guy and he hasn't even shown up yet. And so as we've been going back and rewatching it, I've been appreciating Asahi in a whole new light.
I relate to him the most in the sense of how people perceive him. Because in school, I wasn't always the most social, but when I wasn't like a douche, you know? Like I tried so hard. Like, for the most part, I was nice to people, you know? But for whatever reason, it's like rumors or certain things, you know, everyone just puts up their wall. Their iron wall. Oh my god.
Oh. That's real.
On to episode 18. The hype doesn't stop.
No, you're on the hype train. It doesn't end.
I don't think it's ever going to end right now. Like, it's just, we're on it. Tanaka and Nishinoya are Asahi's biggest fans. Like, they're everyone's biggest fans.
They are.
Like, together, they can't stop. You can't stop them. Unless you're Yukai and you're like, shut the hell up. Oh, this was something. So Suki goes up to serve. And Hinata, or was it Hinata? I think it was, I don't know. I hate that I'm not remembering who it was, but someone was visualizing Hinata and Suki on the court just by themselves. And Hinata had a huge sun underneath him.
And Suki was the
moon.
And
Suki was the moon, the crescent moon. I was like, what the heck? That means something.
Yeah, that's huge. That is so huge because so symbolism wise, the sun is bright and people orbit around it and it lights up everything in its path.
The moon controls the tides.
The moon controls the tides. It's associated with the nighttime. It's associated with darkness. It's a little more closed off. It's a little more mysterious.
But it still shines.
I love that.
That's amazing.
You just think about those characters and their personalities and what you know about them so far. And even in, like, the first or second episode, like, we called Shoyo the sun. We're like, Hinata's the sun. Like, that's what he is. Because that's what he is to the team. And Suki is the more, mysterious side.
And I think did they literally base them off of the sun and moon?
It's in their names.
Really? Mm-hmm. Because they look... Like, if someone was cosplaying a sun and a moon, it would be them.
Yeah.
Like, that's so awesome. And just that imagery alone made me think about their relationship on the court, together, with other teams.
Yep.
Just from that imagery. I was like, I need to know more. Especially about Suki. And I know it's coming...
Like, we've talked about faster, this. But... I know Suki is the slowest burn to really like. There's some people that just love that character type. I don't like that character type.
I mean, I respect him.
Yeah, you're gonna respect him more when he finally kind of like accepts who he is. Because I think I think he hasn't accepted his love for volleyball yet, and he obviously hasn't. And he hasn't accepted that he is good and that he has a place on the team. And there is some trauma related to that you'll get into. And
he's kind of the only character that's just. Like you said, orbiting around.
Yeah.
Everyone else is, obviously, but they know their place.
Yeah.
He's just kind of there. He's good at the game, but he's never really there for the hype.
He's not really passionate.
Yeah.
You don't see the passion in him like you do with it. Everyone else is screaming and high-fiving, and, even someone like Kageyama, who he comes across as a little stoic and a little cool, he can still, like, get out there, and he's... screaming like a banshee like the rest of them.
Yeah.
But Suki just is annoyed by that, really, because he hasn't accepted his love for volleyball yet. Maybe he'll never love volleyball. That's part of the character that needs to be explored still.
So right after that, I laughed so hard. Yui's in the stands because Daichi makes a really good play. And Yui, like, literally...
She needs to go change her panties.
She creams. Like, that's...
That was it. She saw...
I'm pretty sure they had that in the storyboard. It just says creams.
Yep, that's it. That's what the script says, just, like, make an orgasm sound.
And all the girls are looking at her like, it's not that serious, but yeah, cool. Let's root for them. And then they go back to the drawing board because they're like, Date Tech, like, we're not winning. They're still not winning. They don't even have, like, they're a lot of points away, at least, like, 5 points away. Mm-hmm. And so they go back to the drawing board again, and Yukai is like, we need to put up our own wall. And Tanaka and I believe it's Asahi, he says, we've got our own wall. And as soon as he says that, they go up, and somehow Date Tech's not able to hit through their wall. And I'm like, oh my god, this is the moment where it's turning around. Mm-hmm. Like, they have to win now. And then they started doing a lot of quick attacks, and I realized they rely too much on the quick attack.
Yes.
But that's because it's what they're good at.
Yes.
But once people start to know how to come against it, how to counter it, they're going to constantly counter them. You know?
Hinata is not a good volleyball player right now.
Yeah.
He's a lot to learn. He can't do anything besides a quick attack. He's just going to do whatever Kageyama tells him to do.
Kageyama's like, I'm going to be on the left. And he goes to the left. Also, the most amazing save from Nishinoya I've seen so far. He uses his foot.
Oh, the foot save. Yes. Hype.
It's like falling, and Nishinoya is like, I can't reach it. And then the next frame, boom, his foot just picks the ball right back up, and everyone's like, even Date Tech's like, what?
They're like, what? I love the way they frame that because it's that side shot. And,
Mm-hmm.
You can see the tension
He's like
that he has.
looking
and
sideways.
Then suddenly the foot just comes to you. Boom. And the ball's right there. And it just like, it's so cool.
I knew something had to happen because they were...
Had to. They were gonna let Nishinoya drop the ball. Come on.
It was so good.
It was pretty high.
Like, Nishinoya is one of the best players they have.
No, he really is, and you'll hear some of the other people in the gym eventually talk about how good he used to be, how highly rated he was when he was in middle school. So you will hear a lot.
And I think it's because of his nature. He even said after the last game with Date Tech, all he did was go home and practice.
Yeah.
Like, he knew where he failed, he went and practiced.
He's very driven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's his strongest suit.
He's not one of my favorites, but...
You can still appreciate what he does for the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the same boat.
And then Asahi, shortly after that, they literally were not giving up. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm going to keep this ball in the air, and I'm going to keep hitting it until I break that wall. Goosebumps.
I love his little monologue when he's running, and he's like, don't stop wanting it for 1 second, because as soon as you stop wanting it, the ball's gonna hit the floor.
And it pans to Suga, it pans to Daichi, it pans to Kageyama, it pans to everyone, and they're like, we need to keep this ball in the air. And they do, and they break through the wall.
Yep.
Set point, boom, they win.
Yep.
I was like, okay, this team can do anything. Like, what can they not do? And in that game, I forgot to mention, they learn so many moves just within that game.
Yeah, the one thing that's fun about Karasuno is that they are so sporadic and like aggressive that they just want to do anything and everything they can. And they don't play by the rules. Yep.
Every move, every stop.
They play by the rules, but they don't play by the textbook rules. You know, they're out there trying. They're gonna do whatever it takes. Like, they are like crows fighting for that scrap, and they want it.
And then I put, wow, all this cream, and Daichi didn't even know they were there.
But they stuck their fists out. They were like, "We're coming for you, ladies."
Yeah.
Like, this is what's coming in next.
Yui's like, I have been, like, you did so good. Like, I was rooting for you guys the whole time. And Daichi's like, oh, didn't even know you were here. Literally says that.
I know, and then someone was like, how did you not know? Like,
I think it was it Suga?
I don't remember. I'd have to go back and watch. I know Tanaka and Noya were like,
women.
Was
it Tanaka?
They're like, women, we're here, you know? They're like, there's our girls or something like that. And it's like, what? You guys, I've never seen you interact with these ladies before.
They have their moment. They're like, yes, we did it. We can do anything. Nope.
Nope. No, they can't.
Ioba Josai wins, so they have to play them.
Yep.
And the tension rises even more.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this show, like, I can't handle
it. It
like,
suffocates you, man.
It is suffocating. They can't win and then not have a moment where, like, they can't just have their moment.
No, because the next challenge is in front of them.
Literally right there.
Yep.
So going on to episode 19, the best imagery I've seen so far in this show. Setters, this is what Yukai says, setters are like conductors. The change in the conductor gives you a whole different sound.
Yep, might be the same instruments, and it might be the same people playing the instruments, but the conductor.
How they do it.
Which is great imagery for Oikawa and Kageyama, especially.
Yeah, which I have a lot of notes about them in this next episode. Hinata and Nishinoya are in elementary school, apparently.
Hey, you middle schoolers, elementary schoolers?
Yeah. There's a moment where they're screaming in the bleachers, and the ref's like, can you guys, like, shut up? And he literally calls them elementary schoolers. Anyways, I thought it was really funny. And then they go more in depth about Shira Torizawa. And they seem...
Shira Torizawa? Oh, sorry. You hear that chant. You got the date tech one, and you'll get the Shira Torizawa one stuck in your head for sure.
I think they even played the chant. I just can't remember it. But they seem so hardcore. Like, they're wanting it... They want you to feel like they are one of the hardest teams to beat.
Yep.
One of the best teams.
They hype Shira Torizawa up. Something fierce. They really do. Also,
this is the point where they're done for the day. They're walking out of the gymnasium. They see on the TV that they're on the news.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just like, oh my god. And then someone's like, it's just the local news, you idiot. Like, don't.
It was Suki that said that. Yeah.
And then fake news. I'm calling fake news right now. Like, I hated that scene. They don't even show Karasuno. Well, they do in the beginning. They don't even show Hinata hitting.
No, it's like all about Oikawa and all about, and then they show Date-Tech crying and.
They're like, Karasuno did really good, and then the next scene is Oikawa Taki's like, oh hey guys. I'm like, I hate this guy. Like,
they do such a great job of making him a villain
in every aspect.
Yeah.
Like, literally, why? And then they go into, it's like nighttime right now, and everyone's winding down. They get past Karasuno, and then it goes to Seijo, Ioba Josai, and his friend is like Shitty Kawa.
He starts by calling him like Trashy Kawa,
and then he's like Lazy Kawa.
Yep.
Oh my god, it was freaking hilarious.
A lot of the people in the fandom will call him Shitty Kawa.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to now.
You should.
From now on.
Please do.
He is very... He knows how to... It sounds weird. He knows how to learn the right way.
He's very passionate. He's very driven, and whatever it takes, he's going to...
His friend sees he has a disc of the Date-Tech Karasuno game. Oh my god. What the hell? Like, he's gonna win. He stays up. I don't know if he stays up all night, but he stays up pretty late just watching Hinata's every move and all of their moves. And crazy. I I've never wanted Karasuno to win more than I do now, because they're coming up against Shirikawa.
They do such a good job of making you just like dislike this guy so much, and you've already been with Karasuno, and all he's done is talk shit about Karasuno to Karasuno too.
I hate the whole team.
All of Ayabusa, which is unfortunate.
And they're not bad.
No, they're not bad people. Well, some might be, but
Shirikawa's there, so I hate it.
Exactly.
And I put blink twice if you're being held captive by Oikawa. Just the way he commands his team. You can tell his team has so much respect for him. He is the true conductor. Like, he is one of the greatest conductors / setters. I can already get that feeling.
Yeah, and that is brought up
before
in season
even
2.
watching him play.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
They do a really good job of hyping these characters up. It's the thing that they're the best at. And you kind of, like I said before, like, you feel like you know them before you even see them. Mm-hmm. And then after you see them, it's just more and more layers and more versions of them. And your opinion is going to change every time. But they do a good job with Oikawa.
Yeah. One thing I thought was very, very weird. They're, like, panning to all the players on Seijo, right? Mm-hmm. And the last person to go to is this man-child. I'm like, they have a man-child on their team?
What?
It literally looks like a kid's face on a man's body.
That has to be Yahaba.
And I was like, okay, Karasuno can win it now. Like, they're going up against a man-child.
And now I need to go back and rewatch the episode. It's probably Yahaba.
It's like towards the end.
Yahaba's a little piece of shit.
I got that vibe from the man-child. So.
You're like, man-child must be a piece of shit. Yahaba, we'll talk about him when we'll talk season 2. We'll talk about him season 2.
Yeah. Last thing for this episode, Kageyama learning from Oikawa. Every single serve, every single set, every single hit, every single time he is up. Every single match, he is watching. Same with Oikawa. Mm-hmm. Like, they keep learning and watching each other. It's kind of cool in a way.
Yeah, Kageyama knows everything that he knows about volleyball by watching Oikawa play. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Even in...
I forgot to mention Tadashi. He learned in that jump float serve.
Yes.
I feel like he's about to. One thing I didn't like about him is he wasn't really in it. He's just kind of shadowed by Suki, but they're showing a lot more of his character.
Yeah, a huge thing with him is him having to learn to be...
His own person.
To stand on his own, but it's when the first time they do the starting lineup, I don't know if you remember this, but he's kind of sitting there and he looks kind of down and he's thinking, great, I'm the only first year not in the starting lineup. So I think he feels the pressure, and it's interesting that he feels that pressure because it shows you how competitive he is, because there's a third year on the bench. So
is that Enoshida?
Sugawara, the vice captain of the team, is on the bench. Enoshida, who's gonna be the captain the next year, is on the bench. And so it's weird that he's so... It's not weird, it's cool. It shows you that he does care, and he is competitive.
Yeah,
and that
he's perfect for this team.
Yeah, and he's trying to find what his place is on Karasuno, and he thinks that that's going to be as a pinch server. So he's not giving up. He's not content being a bench warmer. Not that Sugawara is either, but Sugawara is the same way. Like, Sugawara found his place on the team, and at the present, for Karasuno, it's not anywhere besides the bench. I mean, that's just his spot, but he embraces it and he uses that to his advantage to help the team, and Tadashi's going to do the same thing for sure. Right.
So going into episode 20, crazy episode.
Intense.
Super intense. Can I just say, I failed to mention the music in both, like, all 4 of these episodes is amazing.
Haikyuu has one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in an anime. It's really, really good.
I think that's something that we can agree with on both Steven Universe and Haikyuu.
We want the soundtracks. Give them to us.
Soundtracks?
They're great.
8 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Episode 20. Nishinoya is incredible.
Yeah.
And I did not think that until these few episodes.
You just thought he was...
I didn't respect him.
Yeah, it happens. You have to see him in action to get why everyone loves him so much.
Yeah, I'm like, they're still so crazy about him, and I don't understand. Now I do. Mm-hmm. He did... How he retrieved Oikawa's curved ball.
First try. Effortless.
It came out of nowhere. I was watching intently, and all of a sudden I was like, what? Like, he just, like, quickly goes to one direction. Like, how did you know to do that? He's like, I just did.
Dude, he's just the best.
He's just good at. He knows how to be a Libero.
Yep.
Oikawa has traits of every setter I've ever seen so far. So I feel like he's like a hybrid setter. Like he has traits of Kenma because he observes. He has traits of Kageyama. He has traits of Suga. He's just like, I feel like if anyone goes up against him, it's going to be a challenge, no matter where they're at with their skill level.
Yep.
Oh, I say it right here. Love the music playing in the background. The jazz that they play for Oikawa.
Dude, fits him.
Best character song. I don't know if each character has like a song. I haven't really got that vibe yet, but I think it's Aoba Josai's song. So good. Oikawa is basically Seijo's coach. Yeah,
it's interesting because the coach kind of, I think what it is with Aoba Josai compared to Yukai and Karasuno. Yukai's new, first of all. Second of all, Daichi doesn't have the Daichi, as we talked about, great volleyball player. Well, not great, but good volleyball player. Good all-around volleyball player. Doesn't necessarily have the volleyball IQ that Oikawa does. And the coach knows, and part of it is, too, is like I said, I don't think I recorded this part of this, but we were talking before the podcast about how Seijo, it's a pack of dogs. And... yeah. Really, and Oikawa is the alpha dog, in a way, and everyone on that team loves him, and he loves everyone on that team, and the respect that he gets from them is unmatched. You will not see that respect between captain and team anywhere else. That's how great of a volleyball player he is, that's how great of a friend he is, that's how great of a teammate he is, that's how good of a captain he is, and I think the coach is willing to step back and trust Oikawa to make that team great.
Right.
Because maybe that coach isn't a good coach. Maybe that team actually isn't a good team. Maybe it's all Oikawa.
Yeah, at first I was like, well, he's kind of being a douche just coaching his own team and not like ignoring their coach. But then when everything worked out, I was like, oh, like he's a one-man show. Not a one-man show, but like you said, he's an all-around good player.
Yeah.
For his team.
Like the way Daichi is the foundation for Karasuno, Oikawa is the foundation for Seijo, for sure.
And then some. Like, it's crazy. Also, he took advantage of their rotation. Mm-hmm. And just spiked it right in between when Kageyama was going up to the setting position.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I was like, that is so dirty. Like, why are you doing that?
Is it dirty or clever?
It's clever, but it's just like...
But you're such a fan of Karasuno.
I'm rooting for Karasuno, so I hate it.
Doesn't he love it when a show gives you those feelings?
Yeah. Oikawa's very calm and calculated.
Yeah. He's confident. He's very confident.
He knows exactly what to do in any scenario. Mm-hmm. Anything. And I think Karasuno is learning that right now.
Yeah, Karasuno's so sporadic that they don't have that calm element.
He is the direct counter to Karasuno's whole team. Yeah.
Well, part of that has to do with, the conducting aspect of it. Like, think about Kageyama's sets and how Kageyama is as a leader. Because even if you're not the captain of a team, the setter is the control tower. And they do set the pace and they do set the vibe of the team. And Kageyama he's out of control. And especially in episode 20, if I remember right, that's when he starts to kind of lose his cool. And Oikawa doesn't ever lose his cool. Even in the most tense moments, you're going to see some shit. You're going to see some shit.
I'm already seeing some shit.
Not in this season, in the second season. You are going to see one of the most insane plays in all of IQ with Oikawa at the center of it. And that's when you're going to step back and be like, nothing phases this guy. He is so in tune with who he is and his team and that game that he will just do shit that is like mind-blowing. And you're like, how does someone... with all that's going on, process that? But he's worked so hard that it's not new to him,
They said something about he doesn't focus a lot when he's in the game. His only focus is the game.
Yeah.
Like they said, he is one of the best players when it comes to focusing, and I think that is how he's able to do everything.
For sure.
There's a really, really messed up scene. Kageyama just gets in his feelings. He gets caught up in beating Oikawa. And Oikawa says something like, that's what you've always done best, is like you've just been by yourself. You can't help your team.
That's savage.
And
that's so savage.
I know. And Kageyama steps back and he's like, can I like shoot myself now? Like,
because that is like his biggest
hurdle.
Yeah. And I mean, that's his trauma. And Oikawa just sticks his fingers right in that wound and rips it open. Like, that is really savage. That's the pettiness of Oikawa, though.
Like, you have two kings. A king for himself, and then a king for everyone.
Yeah. A benevolent king and a dictator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a really cool moment with Tanaka right after that. Because at this point, Kageyama's, like, kind of taken, not the back seat, but he's letting it get to him. Mm-hmm. And so you have other people like Tanaka that are making up for that really well. He couldn't hit the sets. Like, he wasn't hitting it in the right direction or anything. He couldn't get past them. And he just yells, "I'll do better." And then boom, he does better. And from that moment, it's like an instant growth. He's like you said, me and Jackie were texting while watching this. He's like 5 out of 5 mental health. Like,
he is. Like, his mental fortitude is, I think, unmatched. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone else in all of Haikyuu that's as mentally tough as he is. And the thing is, what's great about Tanaka is, I don't know if the fans really, like, step back and appreciate, he is such a great senpai. Like, he is something that Kageyama can look to. Even though they're different positions, different personalities, doesn't matter. Tanaka is showing that no matter how many times he's been beaten down, he's in control. He will take responsibility for his own failures, and he will overcome. And Kageyama is spiraling out of control right now. And then there is this pillar of strength that is Tanaka. Unfortunately, as we see at the end of the episode, it didn't necessarily... Kageyama's still very much selfish and very immature and caught up, but you can see where he could draw inspiration from Tanaka.
He has the best comeback by far. Like, I don't know if I'll ever see anyone have a greater growth, just instant growth.
Yeah.
This game is making me realize there's more techniques to stop a team from winning than just the game itself. Mm-hmm. Oikawa was really good at utilizing every aspect within the game and outside of the game.
He plays mental games on people.
Yep.
He
just destroyed Kageyama with a few words.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
that's savage. That is like, that's so mean.
And I put, oof, it takes longer than that to break a bad habit. Just stop it, Oikawa. You need to stop.
Yeah.
You just keep pounding it in. I put Oikawa preys on people's weaknesses and insecurities. It's super weird, especially for a first year. Is he a first year?
Oikawa?
Yeah.
Oikawa's a third year.
Third year?
This is his last year of high school. That's part of the tragedy that is Oikawa that you'll have to experience.
And then he just pounds it in anymore. Little Tobio. He's just a little guy. He's a first year.
He's a little prick.
Kageyama's just a little guy.
Yeah.
That's all he is to him. Which... I don't know how Kageyama's going to get past this, because we see Suga finally steps in. It's about damn time.
It's my boy Suga. I was so hyped the first time. I was like, yes, I've been waiting for like 10 episodes.
He's been benched for how long?
Since the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't seen him play in a game yet.
We've seen him play like a practice round with the community.
Yeah, it wasn't even his team.
Yeah.
It wasn't even Karasuno. So.
I'm ready to see.
Suga does have value. He does.
I'm so worried for Kageyama. This is the first time I've ever cared about Kageyama.
It happens. It sneaks up on you when you start to care about these characters.
And then how is that going to affect the way Hinata plays?
Well, that's the thing, because Hinata
relies on him.
He does. Like, I think I talked about this in a podcast episode about how Kageyama will, or he has the potential, I can't say he will, but his career path is that he will be a professional volleyball player. He is that freaking good. Hinata? No. Realistically, he probably doesn't play after high school. And if he does, he's probably not a starter. He's not going to become a professional volleyball player. He will not be on Japan's team the way Kageyama could be, or the way that some other people that he plays against or plays with could be. He's truly, like, the least athletic person on the team is Sugawara. Like, just honestly, statistically speaking, his jumping power, his hit power, his speed, it's just not there, and he's not a good technical volleyball player. Hinata is the only thing that Hinata has going for himself right now, is that he has endurance, and he has jumping power, he has drive, and he has Kageyama.
There's a difference between really cool moves and being an overall good player.
Exactly, and it's interesting because actually on a technical aspect, Daichi, who everyone overlooks. Everyone that's watching that game focuses on Hinata. They think, oh, look at him. Look at how hard he hits the ball. Look at how high he jumps. Look at all this. Look at how fast he is. And then the person carrying the team is in the back making the receives. And
I was just thinking that you wouldn't know, but he's carrying the whole team.
Yeah.
That's how good he is.
Yeah, and
if he wasn't there, how bad would the team play?
I guess you're going to have to find out.
I guess I am.
At some point you'll find out how that goes.
I can't wait.
I can't either. That's like, I hope we get to watch those episodes together. Those are my favorite episodes.
That's all I have for Haikyuu, but I cannot wait to watch the other ones.
I'm so excited for you to watch the other ones. Like,
I think that was the end of the first set?
No.
Oh, they lost,
No, we haven't seen the end of the first set yet.
Oh, so it's still going on. Dang.
I think so, yeah.
That's a long game.
Wait till you get to season 3.
I know. It's a whole game, you said.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm excited for you to get to the next couple episodes.
I'm excited for you to get through Steven Universe, because it's getting good finally.
Well, it's this, and like we talked about, it's the pacing is very different,
so different.
And I feel like the goal for the two shows is very different. Like,
you got mommy issues, you got a team trying to make it to national.
Yeah, there's not a lot of mommy issues in Haikyuu.
Anyways, that has been the 5th installment of Beach City Crows. I am Isaac, and
I'm Jackie.
Thank you for listening.
See you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, it's Jackie.
And Isaac.
From Nonessential Media.
We just want to thank you guys so much for listening, and if you'd like, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel or our Patreon.
And we want to hear from you guys. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you're watching along with us and what your thoughts are.
You can find us on Twitter at NonessentialM.
We're on Facebook as Nonessential Media.
We're also on Instagram at Nonessential Media.
Check out our website, nonessentialmedia.com.
So check us out.
Thanks again for listening. We truly appreciate every single one of you.
See you guys next Saturday for a new episode of Beach City Crows. Bye. Skibbly babbly bab.